Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us at London Film Festival. Maybe you could begin with a brief introduction to your film. What can people expect when they come to watch it?
It's a complex film, but in a way, the setting is the 15th General Assembly, 1960, where the then Soviet leader of the Soviet Union, Nikita Khrushchev, is slamming his shoe. What I did not know is that he slammed his shoe because of the history of my country in the Congo, its colonial history. And so it dismantles that moment, a pivotal moment where an independence movement was going all over Africa. And that was actually, that sense of hope was smothered by my country. It's a black page out of the history of my own country, in a nutshell. And what was involved was the first democratically elected premier was actually killed, assassinated, with the complicity of sort of the mining industry, my country, the monarchy, but also United States CIA and President Eisenhower. Underneath, in 1960, in a way, how actually the United States would deal with that independence movement was they would come up with a way of like trying to win the hearts and minds of the global South, was sending black jazz ambassadors to Africa and to the Middle East, amongst Dizzy Gillespie or Louis Armstrong. But Louis Armstrong arrives in the Congo right at that moment where underneath the CIA is actually plotting the assassination. So the jazz ambassadors, the black jazz ambassadors, are used as decoy to sort of hide what was going on underneath. So you had to, the State Department, the U.S. State Department, had to do Dulles brothers. You have Foster Dulles, who's head of the State Department, U.S. State Department, and the United States Information Agency is sending out this jazz ambassadors, but then you have the brother Alan Dulles, who's the head of the CIA, and he's sending like sort of CIA agents to actually plot the overthrow of countries. So Dizzy Gillespie arrives in Syria in 1956, and what's happening is Operation Struggle, where the CIA is buying up the Syrian government. You have 1960, where Louis Armstrong arrives in the Congo, at Katanga actually, but also a month before in Kinshasa, the then Leopoldville. And what's going on is that they're plotting the assassination of Patrice Lumumba. Another example is Duke Ellington arrives 1963 in Iraq, in Baghdad. The very night of his first concert, there is a coup happening 100 meters away in the palace. And so this sort of double layering of that sense of hope where, I just mentioned the 15th General Assembly, is where 16 African countries are admitted to the world stage, and there's a global earthquake happening within the United Nations. And so there's that sense of hope where the global majority is gained by the global South in sort of the United Nations General Assembly. And that sense of hope is being smothered by actually killing Patrice Lumumba, in a nutshell. That's the flip side.
What was the motivation behind this? Why was it so important for you to tell this story on the big screen?
Well, if I trace it a bit, like my previous film is dealing with, it's called Shadow World. It was an investigation into the corruption of the global arms trade, which is a pleonasm, a collaboration with writer, politician, stirred journalist Andrew Feinstein, who lives in London, who runs Corp Watch. And he was sort of dismantling how actually the arms industry works. And if you know that half of what the United States reels and deals in weapons is more than what the rest of the world actually reels and deals. So that's tremendous. Even if we say, Yemen is being bombed or what's going on in Palestine or Ukraine, it's for a big part, those big conglomerates like Lockheed, but Belgium has like a small part. We have NATO, of course, in Brussels. But I thought it was so crucial to go dig in the backyard of the black page of my own country. And it's the story of the assassination of Patrice Lumumba is something that actually we didn't learn in school.
And what was the process of making it like? What were some of the most challenging moments? But on the flip side, what were some of the most rewarding?
What was the most challenging? There was too much material. Yeah, the film is 2 hours and a half, but it doesn't feel like it. It's like an iceberg, and you collect so much, and at one point it drifts above the water, but there's so much material that we had to sort of navigate through, because it's sort of a huge subject, and there's many layers that actually are sort of tackled in the film. So that was a tough one, but how it came about was very rewarding, because the reception has been amazing. So
what has it meant to you to have the film here at London Film Festival?
Well, it's interesting. I think it's sweet to be here in the heart of the colonial sort of Lions Hall, and to sort of be able to sort of have this film here and start sort of a dialogue.
What do you hope the impact of the film to be? What do you hope people go away thinking about after they've watched it?
Voltaire used to say history is the common lie we all agree upon, that actually that lie is dismantled, and that there's a sort of awareness, and that sort of it's a dialogue being started about all these issues. So that's crucial for me.
And do you know what you're going to be working on next? Have you already got your next project in mind?
Yeah, it's called Tea with E.T. But it's An alternative title is like the multi-species parliament. For example, we interviewed a neurologist about tickling and the fact that you cannot tickle yourself. And so you need the other to tickle you. Is that connection? It's the essence of consciousness, actually, it's about connection. And I think we in essence, I think we live in a paradigm of profit where everything is subjugated to economic value. And I think it's so crucial to go back to connection and kinship and how we actually belong in this world and belong to the world and belong to one another.
Wonderful idea. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Congratulations on the film.
you for
I really
putting on
enjoyed
the
presenting
live.
it here in London. Thank you.